Hey guys, welcome back. If you were watching my video that I made this morning when I was doing the gardening stuff and I mentioned I was going to make some chowder, this is the video I was talking about. So this morning I went out and I got a couple of pounds of some really nice looking cod, and I'm going to be using that cod to make my chowder. A couple of pounds, that's a lot of fish, but I really like my chowder to be nice and meaty. I'm also going to be adding some potatoes. I got potatoes over here. A couple of things that are a little bit different the way I do it. I like to put some rosemary in there. This is fresh rosemary out of my garden. And I also like to use garlic. I'm not going to use all of that. That's a big clove of garlic, but I'm probably going to use about half because in this family, onions and garlic are pretty much their own food group. And I actually can kind of attribute the fact that we very rarely get sick to the fact that we eat a lot of garlic and onions. So anyway, first thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to get my fish cut up into some smaller pieces and I'm going to boil it. And I'll show you why I boil it in a moment. There is a method to my madness. Okay, so I've got my fish on the stovetop. It is getting ready to come to a boil. I'm going to let that boil for a few minutes. I'm going to start cutting up my rosemary and my garlic and my onions. For my rosemary, the best method I've ever found to do this, you grab it from the top and just run your fingers down and you pull all the little needles right off your rosemary just like that, and you can kind of get it off the end this way. So I've got 2 sprigs that I'm using. I love that flavor of rosemary. It's a little different from the chowder I grew up eating in New England, but you know, it's what I like, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to start by chopping up my rosemary. By the way, this is my favorite kitchen knife. We bought some Ninja knives with a sharpener and built into the butcher block, and these things are amazing. So I would highly recommend these Ninja brand knives. They're super sharp, well balanced. They work really good. Just like that, I've got my chopped rosemary. Now I'm going to take about half of this clove of garlic, like I was saying before. That's about half. It's a lot of garlic, but like I said, we love garlic in this house. So I'm just going to start off by cutting it one way. Then I'm going to cut it the other way. And then from there, I'm just going to chop it up a little smaller. All right, that's a small enough chop right there. So I'm going to set this aside in a bowl, and I'm going to go to my onions. Okay, as you can see, my fish has finished boiling. It is now cooked through. And the method to the madness that I was talking about is I'm going to strain all this fish with a slotted spoon, and I'm going to put it in a bowl to be kept aside and put back into the chowder later. And what I'm going to use this water for is to boil my potatoes because I want to keep that nice fishy flavor. And if you keep your nice fishy flavor, you have a much nicer chowder. So let me get this all strained out of here. I'll get my potatoes on to boil. Okay, so now I have added my potatoes to the pot where I just did my fish, and I've got the stove back on. So this is going to come to a boil, and that potatoey, fishy flavor is going to be all infused. It's going to be amazing. So the next thing I want to do is I want to get my onions chopped, and I want to add my onions and my garlic and my rosemary to this pot and get that to a nice little sizzle with some butter, and then I'm going to add a little flour and make a roux. That's going to help thicken up the chowder. Okay, so on my onions, what I want to do is I just want to do kind of a square chop on these. So I'm just going to cut them in half. then I'm going to cut along with the what am I trying to say? Not the rings, it's not a tree. But basically the lines in the onion. I'm going to cut them this way, and I'll come back and cut the other way. Just make some small squares. And from there, I've got my garlic and everything chopped in there. I've got to get some butter out. And once I get this nice and sizzly, like I said, I'm going to add a little flour. I'm going to put some of that fishy water in there to make a roux. And if you're not familiar with what a roux is, basically I'm almost making like an onion garlic gravy. But that is going to go into my chowder, and that flour base is going to help to thicken things up and make it nice and hearty. So now that I've got my onions chopped, I've got my garlic, my rosemary, I just need to get some butter melting in the pot and get this sizzling away. Okay, so I've got some nice sizzling action going on here in my pot. I'm going to add my garlic first, get that going. Then I'm going to dump in my onion. Now I could just add this to the potato and let it boil, but what I'm really hoping to do here, or what the point of this is to get the garlic and the onions to release those oils. Because when you fry them like this and a little bit of butter, they get really aromatic. That's when that flavor really starts to come out, and that's what you really want if you're gonna add it to a soup or whatever. You should definitely do this first. It just brings up those oils, so when you incorporate everything, it's just fantastic. And yes, I'm a bit of a food geek. I've been experimenting with food since, well, almost as long as I can remember. I made some horrific concoctions, as my parents will attest, when I was a kid. Stunk up the entire house. And my wife will tell you that I was an absolutely terrible cook when we first met about 24 years ago. It took going to work in restaurants for a while to be able to figure out how things work and how things go together. So finally have kind of an understanding. I mean, I'm no chef, but I have kind of an understanding of how all these flavors are going to come together, which is awesome. I'm really excited about that. Like I said, food geek. So I'm just going to give these potatoes a little more time, and I'm going to let this sizzle just a little bit longer before I take it off the heat, because I don't want it to burn. And then we're going to add the flour to the onions and garlic, and I'm going to add a little bit of that water from the that fishy water from the potatoes to make that a thick roux. All right, so the potatoes are just about done. I'm stopping them right now before they become, mushy. We don't want mushy potatoes in there. But what I want to do now is I've got about 1/3 of a cup of flour. This is gluten-free flour because that's what we use here. We don't want half the family getting sick. That just makes things very unpleasant. So we use gluten-free. And I'm going to stir that in, get the flour all into these onions and garlic so everything is coated. So that right there is kind of what we want to see. You got the flour all over the onions and garlic there. I'm going to use that same cup, and I'm going to start scooping some of this hot water from the potatoes into here. I'm going to turn my heat back on a little bit just to not let things get too cool. I'm going to stir that water in here. Oop, need some more. All right, that should be enough right there. So I'm going to stir this in real good. Make sure there's no clumps of flour in there, because you don't want that. As you can see, this is getting like almost like a sausage gravy consistency. And that's what you want to see. That's going to be the nice thickener for this chowder. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rest of these potatoes and the rest of that fishy water. I'm going to go right into the soup. Just like that. I'm going to add my fish back in. Just like that. And I'm going to hit it with the heavy cream. I've got 2 pints of heavy cream. And if that doesn't make it creamy enough, I do have some whole milk that I can add to this. We're going to go in with the 2 pints of heavy cream. Then we're going to hit it with some salt and pepper. And you're going to let it boil for a bit. And that is what is going to be our chowder. It's a really simple recipe, the way I do it, but it usually turns out really, really good. I've never had complaints. So, let me give this a stir. Get that all mixed up together. All right, we're gonna let that sit on the heat for a little bit and crank it up some to get that heavy cream heated up. I'm gonna add my salt and pepper. And now we're gonna get some salt in there. All right, in a few minutes we'll come back to this and you'll see the end result. All right, so I have got the soup off the stove. It is nice and thickened and looking great. You can see these nice big chunks of potato, big pieces of fish in there. And it's got that slightly salty, slightly buttery, really nice flavor. You can taste the onion, you can taste the garlic, you can taste the rosemary all separately. It is just phenomenal. And it's such a simple recipe that, I mean, anybody, literally anybody could do this. And it is so tasty. Oh man. And it's hot. But dang, that's good. So anyway, I was also going to do a video today about Brazilian cheese breads. I'm going to be making those next, but it's a little bit more of a process to do that. A little bit longer video, more than likely. So I'll probably do that another day. If anyone's interested in seeing the Brazilian cheese breads, let me know. And I'm going to have a big bowl of this. And I'm sorry, I'm lost for words. This is really good. So anyway, if you're enjoying this content, please like, subscribe, coming back for more videos. I'll keep on posting, and let me know what kind of stuff you want to see. I do a little bit of everything. I do gardening, I can do survival adventures, I can do cooking, whatever. So anyway, thanks for watching.